Boston Globe has once again made its all-scholastic selections for the spring, and to tell us about some of the standouts and some new coverage of school sports in the city is our guest from the Boston Globe, the high school sports editor, Bob Holmes. Thank you very much for being with us, Bob.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
You came out with the insert on Sunday with these all-scholastic picks from around the state, but talk about here in Boston. You got two students from one school here who are at the top of the pick.
We do. One of the things that we do that is probably the most important thing we do all year is the Phelps Scholar Athlete Program. We have 14 student athletes across the state, and 2 of them are always from the city. And this year, even though we try to avoid having 2 kids from the same school, we'd like to spread it out. We have 2 students from East Boston, Carlos Ruiz and Maria Del Vecchio, who are just head and shoulders above everybody else.
Tell us about them.
Carlos, who's coming to Boston University, is an all-New England soccer player, clearly one of the best, not only in Boston, but across the region. And he's also, just for the heck of it, he started running track this year, and he goes out at the city championship, and he wins the 800, which is a very, very difficult race. So he's a very, very talented couple-season athlete. And Maria is a very rare athlete, especially in the city these days, and that is she plays 3 sports. She does volleyball, softball, and basketball, and was an all-star in basketball. So both of them are outstanding representatives of the city and of the East Boston community.
Talk about some of the other standouts in Boston. I know you had at least one in boys volleyball. We don't hear too much about boys volleyball, do we?
It's a sport we love when it's raining because they always play. We don't have to worry about that. Jean Yi Young is an all-scholastic from Latin Academy. There's only 4 schools in the city that have the sport of boys volleyball, and Latin Academy is clearly the shark in the pond. They're very, very good, even outside the city. And he's a senior who's played, I think, 4 years and is a very, very talented kid.
Well, this is quite a compendium you have every year, and I know we talked about this before, but with so many names, people might wonder, what's the big deal?
The big deal to us is that we're recognizing the best young people out there in terms of not only academics as far as the scholar athletes, but also athletically. I mean, these kids are, for the most part, leaders in their school, they're leaders on their team, and they're, not to sound corny, but they're our future. And I think it's great that we recognize them, and I think it's something that newspapers need to do.
You also are expanding your coverage of the high school sports and maybe, who knows, maybe some other levels as well here in the city of Boston. This is a whole new section, really, if you can find a Boston.com.
Yeah, we started a new website, boston.com/BPS, that is just devoted to kids in the city. And we started it with a little help from our friends at Suffolk Construction, who came up with the money for this, and they're the individuals behind the Boston Scholar Athlete Program. You may have seen some of the billboards across the city.
We're familiar with them, yes.
Yeah, and with their help, we've started this website, and we're going to cover the heck out of everything in the city, and any kid who does something good, who gets a hit, who scores a touchdown, we're going to let people know about it.
What you also let people know in one article in this section is the sports of valedictorians.
Yeah, we try to recognize that the classroom has certainly equal, if not greater, as a parent I have to say that, greater importance than what happens on the athletic fields, and we recognize the best students, the top students in every one of the city schools.
When I read that article, by the way, one thing that interested me was how sports can help with other things going on in the student's life, whether it's the classroom or something else. There was a student, perhaps from another country, comes to school and he starts playing baseball, and this is his way of fitting in. He might not have had another way of fitting in either.
Yeah, sports is fantastic for that, especially the way kids are assigned in the city. It's not your neighborhood where you're going to hanging out with guys in the summer and then going to school with them. Sports brings kids together in a common bond of getting out there and turning a double play or making a good pass, and it really, really helps everybody get together and learn each other, really.
I also saw a piece written by Brandy Cruther, who is known in the city pretty well. She runs a fitness operation, but she's also been a coach and I guess a kind of a mentor for kids in the Boston schools for a long time.
Yes, and she is a huge proponent of kids staying active. Her program, Body by Brandy, is very, very popular in the city, and we've asked her, and she's fully on board with this project, to help get the word out about how to stay active and the importance not only of staying active, but also nutrition.
So what do you do during the summer? We don't have school sports, but a lot of these kids that we follow during the rest of the year, they're out there doing things, BNBL, for instance.
They are. It's amazing. Once the season ends, it's like the second season takes off with all these kids. You mentioned the BNBL. it seems like every single sport has an even more intense program in the summer. Me, I'm like a teacher. I try to hide in the month of July, but I'll be back in August.
All right. In the meantime, people want to check out the Boston Public Schools section. What's the right
Boston.com/BPS, Boston Public Schools.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
For the Boston Globe, Bob Holmes.